This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Come on along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Coming to you from the Golf Club Leader Point Studios in Bloomington on this Tuesday, October 8th. We in fall, man. Definitely in fall, a little fall weather. That's okay. It's supposed to be, right? That's what fall's about. Big show today as always, man. It's Tuesday. No tacos, but we're getting chronic Hoosier on the program today. As he is each and every Tuesday. Also going to be joined by Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com. Talking some Indiana basketball. We're going to hear from Jerome Hunter. Should hear from Taiwan Mullen and Michael Penix from the football program as well. News about Dawson Garcia. Actually, I think Nick Baumgart broke this story yesterday that Dawson Garcia heading for a visit to Indiana October 25th through the 27th. I wonder if they're going to dress up for Halloween. You like that, do you? You imagine what kind of costumes they would wear?
Hopefully nothing happens over Halloween. Wasn't Halloween weekend that the whole Devin Davis situation, wasn't that weekend?
Well, was it?
I think it was. So hopefully...
Sounds about right. I don't remember. It was before the season, so... Yeah, text in from Tim. I saw a report that the Detroit Pistons are going to build a statue of Isaiah Thomas at their downtown arena. Also, did you know one of Isaiah Thomas's nicknames was Zeke? Bill Lambier gave him that name. I did not know that, Tim, but thank you for the text. Now I do. Zeke. That's a good nickname. I don't get that, but
you've never heard that before?
If I did, I forgot.
I think it's just a nickname for people who are named Isaiah more so than his nickname.
Really?
Kind of like Jake or Jim.
Yeah, but yeah, neither one of them makes sense. I don't know how you get Jim out of James. At least they both start with this J at least. How you get Zeke out of Isaiah? Isaiah's already a short name. It doesn't need a nickname. It's already short enough. Isaiah.
It's 3 syllables, though. So Zeke is just one.
Yeah, but there's 3 fast syllables. Isaiah. It's almost 2.5, really.
Agree to disagree.
I'll have to get Chronic to weigh in on that. But Indiana back in action on the football field this Saturday as a noon contest with Rutgers, homecoming weekend. I'll be straight up honest with you. They're a 20-something, 25-point favorite. This should be not quite as bad as the Eastern Illinois game, but it should be that. That's what you want to see. You want to see your team pummel the teams they're supposed to pummel. That's when you know they have that killer instinct, when they have it flowing, when that offense is just too tough to tame. You want to see that. You want other teams to see that. Indiana's got a stretch of games coming up. During the break, I'm going to study up on it, but I'm going to see when was the last time, and I've got a pretty good guess because I think I did this last season. Indiana has an opportunity to win 4 Big Ten games in a row over its next 4 games. Can you imagine had they won up in Michigan State, they really have a streak going. But anyway, they've got a streak. They've got a streak of 4 games coming. Of course, you start that at home against Rutgers. But then they go to Maryland. Okay, it's a road game in the Big Ten. They're never easy, but let's be honest, I think Indiana is just simply better than Maryland. And you need to win those road games. No excuses. Then they go to Nebraska. I think they can beat Nebraska. I was watching a little bit of the Nebraska-Northwestern game. Yes, it's on the road. Yes, it's in Lincoln, Nebraska. Yes, they're one of the blue bloods of college football. But like Indiana basketball, they've lost their teeth. They need some dentures. Get a bite back. I think Nebraska is beatable in Lincoln by Indiana. Especially by then, Indiana should have a rhythm. I mean, they look pretty damn good against Michigan State, to be honest with you, for a quarterback that had been out for the last week and a half prior. But by then, he's going to have some games under his belt, some Big Ten games under his belt. This line, who looked really good, is going to have more games under its belt. They showed in East Lansing they're not afraid to play on the road. It didn't bother them. There were 70,000 people there. Freshman quarterback, redshirt freshman quarterback. Didn't bother him. Just stood there and did the deed. Lincoln, Nebraska's not going to bother him. That would be the third game. Then they come home to play a wounded Northwestern team, which they should be a favorite to win. I think that they win 4 straight. Worst case scenario is they go 3-1 and they're bowl eligible already. How about that? With 3 games to play. But if they win all 4, have 7 wins heading into Penn State, that's going to be a tough game no matter what. I hate to see a streak snap, but that's probably where it could happen. But they come back home and face Michigan after that. Don't be surprised. Then you got to go to Purdue. 9 wins is not off the table for this team, as crazy as that sounds. And I'm not saying they're going to win 9 games, but 8 wins is definitely attainable. Could you imagine if they got those 9 wins, went to a bowl game and got that and won 10 games? It's crazy talk. I know we're talking about Indiana football. What are you talking about, man? 10 wins? Who is this crazy nut? Hey, it's possible. This team has nothing to do with the team 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whenever. It is certainly possible. And I'm telling you, as good as that team looked against Michigan State, they're only going to get better. Tim texted in, I heard the reason Garcia didn't make Hysteria was because of some homecoming. Not sure if it was school-related or town-related. He also said, I think we get at least 8 wins, 9 if upset Penn State or Michigan. Yeah, you upset Michigan. I don't think you're going to upset Penn State. They're pretty good. They're maybe not quite as good as Ohio State, but they're up there, and it's on the road. I'm going to give them a break on that one. The rest of the games, winnable. Ryan from Whitmore Lake, Michigan. He's staying with 8 wins on his prediction from a couple weeks ago. They will be rolling. Yes, sir. Thank you, guys, for your texts. Hit us up on the text line if you'd like, 812-269-6367. I know a lot of people don't get to hear this when we're live, and that's cool. Let's text it in anyway. I'll get back to you. I'll read it on the show the next day. 812-269-6367. That's the text line. You can follow me on Twitter at JimCoyleISB. But yeah, I got to go in here and look through all these games when we go through the next break. And I'm going to have that answer. I will have that answer. Chronic Hoosiers on the program today. Hit us up with your questions on the text line, too. I mean, any guests that are coming up, it may be the next day or whenever. I'll have the round table back up in action this Thursday, since we're back in game shape. We're going to hear from Jerome Hunter, speaking of game shape. Let's hear what Jerome had to say. Talked about a myriad of things after Hoosier Hysteria.
How did you feel from just a conditioning standpoint? What would it like to,
I mean, we had our preseason, and I mean, we did conditioning, and I mean, Archie got us ready just to get us ready, and I mean, I felt like we all was conditioned as a team.
Have you made it through the first week without any days off?
Yes, I have. This week was a really good week for me. I mean, but it's an everyday thing, so I'm just trying to take it day by day.
How's that stroke?
Hey, I work on it every day, so.
It was good. Looked good out there.
Thank you.
What did it feel like actually getting out there in front of the fans and actually playing kind of a real game?
I mean, it felt good. I mean, I couldn't wait. I mean, the whole year off, I've just been thinking about how I was going to be when I went out there, and I love the fans here. I just love how they act when you get a buck. I mean, when you score. And I mean, I just love the atmosphere.
With all you've gone through, is it in the back of your mind when you're out there about worried about getting injured or re-injuring yourself?
No, I mean, you can't have it in the back of your mind, because that's all you're going to think about. It's going to stop you from playing to your best ability. So, I mean, I just try to take it play by play and hope for the best.
What's the biggest thing you've learned through this whole process?
The biggest thing I learned is that there's ways to get better off the court. I mean, it's not just all about basketball. You can find other things to do than just basketball.
you hit that bank turnaround jumper, basically. How big is that sort of mid-range back to the basket game for you?
I mean, Archie is trying to emphasize it a lot for me this year. But, I mean, high school I played back to the basket a lot. And, I mean, I was very comfortable at it. So, if I can get something like that this year, I mean, I think I can show my full versatility.
What do you envision your role being like with this team?
I just want to. I don't know right now. I just want to be a scorer and just be a leader for my team. That's it. Just win games. That's all it comes down to.
What's your thoughts about Trace? Like, what kind of player is he, and how's he going to help this club?
Trace is very athletic. I mean, he just knows where the ball is going to be when it comes off the rim. He just knows how to get a dunk anytime he wants it.
Hunter from Indiana basketball. Getting a few words from him. Got to see him on the court at Hoosier Hysteria. That was a good sign. He's going to, you heard him, but I think the Hoosier fans need to have, as Archie Miller said in Chicago, tempered expectations. He's not ready to come out and just play. He's not going to be starting. He's not going to be coming in for 10 minutes at a time. But I think he can get in there for maybe 5-minute stretches and invigorate the offense, maybe brings some energy. He's going to have to just build up to that. See where he can get to. Certainly good to see him on the court, though. We'll look forward to that. I hate to see that happen to anybody. And it's been a long road back for him, man. I don't know if people understand how serious it was, but it was pretty serious. But we got a lot coming up on the program. Chronic Hoosier joins me next. Nick Baumgart's on the show as well. Say it again, Jake. We're going to hear from, we've already heard from Taiwan Mullen. We're going to hear from Michael Penix as well on the program today. But we got lots more coming up. Stay tuned. Back with Chronic Hoosier right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moyer.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player. This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
All my friends, yellow low rider.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Talk Radio, coming to you from the Eagle Point Studios in Bloomington, of course. That wouldn't be a Chronic Tuesday without Chronic Hoosier, and he's here with us now. Chronic, how are you, my friend?
I am doing good, man. It's officially basketball season in Indiana. Hoosiers coming off a bye week. It's in football homecoming week. Soccer's dominating the Big Ten. We say it every week. It is absolutely the best time to be in Bloomington right now.
Yeah, man, the fall weather is here. It's definitely fall, October. A chill is in the air. You've got fall football coming. Indiana, again, with a game at home this Saturday. Homecoming, no less. A noon contest against Rutgers, a team, frankly, that Indiana should have no problems with.
Now, you would think. Right now, the line's currently sitting at 25.5, which, as far as I can tell, I've never, as far back as the records go, which is sometime in the mid-early 80s, Indiana's never been a 25-point favorite in any Big Ten contest. It's only happened 4 times in history. I guess the question is, can they avoid a lapse? And I don't know that Indiana's necessarily in a position where they can overlook any opponents at all. I don't think Rutgers is going to provide too big of a test. At the end of the day, can they perform up to expectations? Can they sustain that momentum offensively that they were able to demonstrate up in Michigan State? Keep that rolling and hopefully grow it a little bit and, show us a little bit more what this offense is capable of. I think the running game remains a huge opportunity, and I don't know that we're going to see, Indiana all of a sudden pivot to being a run first or even second or third team. But, seeing them be a little more effective in between the tackles, seeing them maybe throw some wrinkles in with Penix coming out of the backfield and design scrambles. just see what this team can do. I think that it certainly has the potential to be special. I certainly feel a whole lot more optimistic about about its prospects following the Michigan State game. The more we've had time to kind of stew and marinate on it, looking back. Again, I'm not calling it a moral victory, but I think they showed us a lot of what they're capable of.
Absolutely, and there's so much talent on this team. I mean, down to people like Tywan Mullen in the secondary, and we got to meet with him yesterday, and just talking to him, it's funny because he is so humble and genuine, but very, very confident. And he talked about growing up having to go against. I've got older brothers his older brothers, one of them played for Clemson, and his cousin is Lamar Jackson. So that's the kind of talent that he grew up around. So, man, he is just a special player, and I think there's a lot of those young guys on this program and this team this team has got a very bright future.
I think so, and I think what gives me the most encouragement when you hear their words here this week, coming off the bye, following the Michigan State game last week, one thing that stands out, and I know this can be kind of difficult for the typical cynical Indiana football fan. This team believes in itself, and I don't know that you can overstate how important that is when you've got a team as young as what this current Indiana team is. They've clearly got some talent, but one of the things that probably the most critical thing that's been missing for a long time from Indiana was a belief in themselves. It's been a long process to get back to the point where Indiana looks like a competitive football team. I mean, just from a physical standpoint, the size, the speed, the strength that they have to go up against, week in, week out in the big team. They've looked the part now for some time, and you can credit Kevin Wilson for making a lot of strides in that department. There's a whole other matter, though, between looking like a team and believing like you're a Big Ten football team. And this team, as we saw up in East Lansing, they have no problem going toe-to-toe right now with some of the big boys. And that was certainly a concern of mine coming out of the Ohio State game. They did not look fit for fighting. So to see this team bounce back the way in which they did, I think it's going to take some time, perhaps, to win over some more of those Indiana football fans. We've kind of been taught to guard against that hope, particularly at this point in the season, because we often know how the back half can turn. But I'll tell you, it's a dangerous thing if you're sitting in Tom Allen's seat and you look across the room and you got a lot of guys that can look each other in the eye and know that they can get it done on any given Saturday. That's exactly where you want this program to be right now.
Yeah, they've got a stretch of games coming up that are all winnable. Four games coming up. You got Rutgers, Maryland. Then it's you travel to Nebraska and come back home and play Northwestern. Indiana can do something it has not done for a long, long time, and that's win multiple Big Ten games in a row.
No, absolutely, and I would have to go back and do some digging. It's probably been since the late '80s, early '90s, at least, since you've seen an Indiana team that can count itself as bowl eligible by the first weekend in November, and that's certainly something that's in the cards for Indiana right now. Those three games after Rutgers, you look at Maryland, Nebraska, Northwestern. I think not only does that present an opportunity for Indiana to do some things it hasn't done in a long time, I think it gives Indiana the opportunity to really see what the season holds for them as far as, not just becoming bowl eligible, but securing a bowl. It's more than just an afterthought in the schedule, as convoluted as the bowl season has become with all of these, traditionalist bowls. It would be something for Indiana to find themselves in a position where they could perhaps go play someplace warm. Perhaps they can finally punch the golden ticket to Nashville to do something that's not only just going to, be another name on the list of the few bowls they qualified for, but actually give this team, this program, this fan base something that gets them excited to go travel to, go support, and with a little luck, maybe find themselves bowl victors for a change. So I think it certainly holds the potential to be special. Now, obviously, they've got to actualize that potential, and the next 4 games over the next month are absolutely going to be. It's going to be the season in a nutshell right there, because after you wrap that up, you've got Penn State, who looks like it's going to be a really, really tough test for Indiana. Then you bring the Wolverines in town and, circle that one perhaps as the big upset possibility this season. But you got to come out of that 4-game stretch, hopefully with no less than 3, in order to really have things roll and have a lot of momentum going into November to close out the season.
Yeah, I think that they have to do that just from a mental standpoint of showing that this is not the same old Indiana that people have talked about. It is a team that is program that is on the rise, and I firmly believe that. I say what I think all the time, and I don't blow smoke. This team really has potential to do something special, and I don't think a lot of people believed that at the beginning of the year. A lot of people, including me, had to question that after that Ohio State game. But what we've learned, Ohio State is a freaking monster, man.
Yeah, we're probably seeing them in the playoff this year. If all things go to plan here for the Buckeyes, they very much look the part at this point. Have yet to really find any stiff resistance anywhere in the league. So I think a lot of teams are going to look back at that Ohio State game and with a thorough beating in hand, and just tip your cap to them. They are absolutely that good. It just shows just how ingrained that program is as far as what it's able to do year in, year out, even in light of coaching changes. All that said, though, there's I guess there's a propensity to overlook what happens in the middle of this conference. And I think when you look at the Big Ten East, and particularly, and you look at the Marylands, you look at the Michigan States, there's a whole lot of opportunity for upward mobility within the division. Even Michigan, for that matter. I mean, I think one thing we have seen, and perhaps it's by contrast what makes what Ohio State does so special, even with Harbaugh, the golden child back home in Michigan, it's not just necessarily plug and play every year. I mean, they have a tremendous resource advantage against 99% of all the teams in the nation, and yet even still that doesn't guarantee that you're going to be in the playoff conversation every single year. And again, there is an opportunity, a tremendous opportunity for a team like Indiana this year to make a statement against a team like Michigan. No differently than there's a chance to make a statement against the Marylands and the Nebraskas and the Northwesterns, for that matter. But it's at the end of the day, nothing is given in this conference, in this division, and there's certainly a whole lot of opportunity for Indiana to perhaps seize that ladder and maybe raise itself up a rung or two this year.
Absolutely. You mentioned soccer earlier. Soccer still continues to lead the Big Ten, having a good year. Man, I cannot believe that they continue to just roll with as many new faces as they have on that team.
It's Ohio State football is perhaps one of the better analogies for Indiana soccer. It is by program definition a tradition of excellence. It's the mantra they live by. It's what they recruit for. It's why kids come here to play, is to be the best. And, it never ceases to amaze me. You look in college basketball, the Dukes, the Kentuckys that are constantly, every single year, reloading professional level talent. And this is something that Todd Yeagley's had to adapt to, and he's certainly, found a way to thrive in this modern recruiting environment where he's got a lot of really, really good young guys, particularly in the offense, that are only here for a year or two before they move on to their professional careers. And to be able to sustain that type of continuity from season to season. I think one thing that gives fans like myself the opportunity is not only do you get to meet a lot of new guys every year, but really taking pleasure in the development and the growth of the team, finding the ways in which they learn how to attack, finding the ways they learn how to overcome adversity, and really come together as a team. Because that's one thing that Indiana does as well as anybody, is they can transcend season to season and keep the culture what they expect it to be, to keep its underpinnings in defense what it needs to be in order to sustain the type of program that the Yeagleys and Mike Freitag have built over the years. And it's something to behold. And, the thing about soccer right now is, as good as they look, they continue to get better. And I think, having watched this team for several decades now, you're always a little bit apprehensive when they're carrying a single-digit ranking heading throughout the season. That, at what point do they plateau? At what point have they peaked? And you've kind of seen the best that they're going to give you. And you look back at 2012. The best teams in Indiana are the ones that are playing their best soccer come November, and kind of building and crescendoing towards that point. And I think you see all the hallmarks of that in this team right now. Learning ways in which they can get the ball upfield, learning ways in which they can get the ball in the net, whether it be set pieces on the counter. This team's got a whole lot of potential to be pretty special, and that's saying something for a program as prestigious as Indiana soccer.
Absolutely, as they continue to roll early in the Big Ten season yet. Now moving on to basketball, it has begun. let there be basketball, and there was Indiana Hoosier Hysteria last week, and got quite a performance, had a stage and everything, man.
You know what? It was a Hoosier Hysteria that was too hot to handle. It was too hot for the fire suppression system there at Assembly Hall. Kind of a little wonky. Smoke alarms went off due to the pyrotechnics. So hopefully that's
Is that what caused that?
I believe so. It is my understanding that that all the pyro production had triggered the fire system in there. So it was a little bit weird. And that's always one of the things I think you battle at Hysteria is the bigger the production, the bigger the lulls in between moments are as they transition from one event to the next. It's always a struggle for these guys to keep it moving. You kind of got the sense at the end of it that Archie had seen enough, that the dog and pony show had gone on a little bit, a little long enough for his liking, and he pulled the plug on it without giving us a chance to see a second half scrimmage. But, more than anything for me, it's more about the introductions. I mean, the dunk contest is great. The 3-point shooting contest is well enough, I guess, in the skills contest. I will continue to enjoy the event simply for the fact that it's our first formal introduction to the roster as it's currently comprised. And I think it's great as well that you get the opportunity to see not just the men's team, but to pack the hall like Indiana can and give the women's team that equal footing and an opportunity to introduce themselves. And, for all the optimism about IU basketball this season, I remain really, really high on what Coach Morin's doing over there with the women's team. This roster has the potential to be something extremely special. I think we could well see another tournament team in Assembly Hall, hopefully for men's and women's. Obviously there's a lot of question marks around the men's team. I guess the biggest disappointment not getting a chance to see the seniors come out in Davis and Green, and then obviously with Tennessee being held back from what we understand, just precautionary. I don't know that there's a whole lot you can glean from the scrimmage. It certainly was nice to see Jerome back out there getting up and down the floor. Would have loved to see him in the dunk contest, but that wasn't to be this year. But more than anything, man, it's great to be back in the hall. It's great to see the boys back on the floor, the new faces. It's just now I'm just wishing we could roll right into the first exhibition game and get the season started. But we got a little bit of time left before they do it for real here.
Yeah, seeing Jerome Hunter on the floor had to be a highlight for a lot of people. I know that it's a day-by-day thing for him. We talked to him afterwards, and that's kind of what he said. But getting to get out there and to move around, and it's just because, man, that dude can play, man. Just hopefully he can get out there and become a part of that on a regular basis.
Yeah, the turnaround jumper we saw, the high kiss off the backboard as he was slashing across the lane. I think he is certainly something that this team has been missing as far as that that slashing, attacking wing. Somebody that can hopefully stretch, somebody that can just absolutely dominate the baseline for Indiana, open up a lot of space and give them another option offensively. Really, really curious to see this backcourt as currently constructed with Rob and Devontae back there and just all the interchangeable parts in front of them from the 3, 4, and 5. I think it's going to be really, really fun to see. You heard Calvert talk about it, the development that this season holds. I think is going to be absolutely everything. And I was having some conversations afterwards and some folks wondering if perhaps he wasn't tempering expectations a little bit too much. Did he see something that maybe we're not aware of that we should be concerned about? And I think he was exactly right. I think because he said in the same breath that this team has potential to be something special. But this also is going to be a year of development for this team. And I don't think that means necessarily that it's going to be underperforming. I think more than anything, let's develop a culture where the tournament is the expectation, and it's readily attainable for them. Competing in the Big Ten year in, year out is the expectation once again. And hopefully you can't put the cart before the horse, but start talking more about deep tournament runs and Sweet 16s and Elite 8s and Final Fours. That's absolutely where I think everybody wants the program to be. But that stuff doesn't happen overnight. I think we'd be fools to believe that, you just with the stroke of a wand that you're back there. that's got to be established. That's something that's got to be built. You've got to have a foundation in place. And, I think it should give people pause when you hear someone like Calvert Cheney telling you that he believes in this program, he believes in this coaching staff, what they're going to do, and where Indiana basketball is headed underneath them. I will certainly heed his advice, and I share the opinion personally.
Did you see Kansas's Midnight Madness attempt with Snoop Dogg?
I can't say I have ever seen an entire athletic department flip both birds up as high as they could hold them directly towards Indianapolis in the NC2A. But Kansas not only achieved to somehow pull that off, but they turned around and aired their backside to the NC2A in the same fell swoop. That was something. I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily can believe it even still.
Are they just daring them to do something? It's like they're daring them.
I'll tell you what, if you study litigation history against the NC2A, I'm of the camp that believes you absolutely are best served by fighting tooth and nail every allegation, every charge they levy against you, and not only fighting it vigorously, but doing it as openly and as loudly as possible. Right or wrong, it's just proven to be a pretty effective tack in dealing with some of their charges, and I don't know that we've yet seen anything quite as over the top, at least as far as Kansas's posture thus far against their notice of allegations here. We'll see if it pans off. I do think that there's an extremely high risk reward ratio involved here. I can't imagine the NC2A is too keen with aerobatic dancers on poles and Snoop Dogg with his money gun at an NC2A sanctioned event. But we'll see what the response is. It's certainly going to be fascinating. God bless Adidas and God bless Bill Self, because they are setting some precedent here in how to respond to these charges.
And it started, if you remember, they did a promo with Bill Self walking into a record store, thumbing through some hip-hop records, wearing a big fat gold chain and an Adidas T-shirt.
Yeah, it makes the whole we didn't know what we were getting defense a little bit ingenuous. I have a feeling they knew every bit what was coming on. Choreography aside, this was very much, I think, by design, a double bird to the NC2A in every single conceivable fashion. And kudos to them for pulling it off so effectively. But good Lord, I still to this point can't even comprehend what just happened there. And we'll see what type of response it elicits. It certainly is going to fire up the Kansas fan base. It certainly could buy them a little bit of breathing room politically in their, in their patch of the wheat field. But we'll see how exactly that plays out in Indianapolis in the end, because there's certainly possibility as well that they not only throw the book at them, but every other book on the shelf could be coming their way. So we'll see, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it when it comes to the NC2A taking down a blue blood.
We certainly will, man. We got the double bird. Couldn't have a better time than we do with Chronic Hoosier each and every week. Chronic, thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me, brother. We'll catch you next. Actually, I'll be off next week. I'm going to be in Florida.
That's right. He's going to be gone. We're going to be without him for a week, and also that means you'll have to be without another edition of Mind Your Banners for a while, right?
Yeah, that tends to happen on its own sometime. I think there's some talk about cutting the pod perhaps tomorrow. Be speaking at the first ever Flyover Podcast Festival here this Friday. I'm pretty stoked about that at the Dimension Mill. I've got a great conversation coming up with Galen Clavio, Jared Morris from Assembly Call, and an old buddy of mine, Jeremy Goodrich, is going to be moderating the panel. He's the proprietor of Shine Insurance here in town. He's got a Scratch Entrepreneur podcast, so he's going to be the moderator for a discussion about sports and podcasting and all sorts of good stuff this week. So we're happy to participate in that as well.
Awesome, brother. We appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. We'll catch you later.
You bet. There's Chronic Hoosier. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Teaching on to build me up with new rule.
everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player. This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Tuesday, October 8th. We're into the fall, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios in Bloomington. Joined now by Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com. How's it going, Nicholas?
Hey, man, I'm just sitting here at Bubba's, pounding some beers and eating some wings. I'm just kidding.
Well,
this isn't Kansas.
I wish I was there with you.
This isn't Kansas. This isn't the Kansas beat, Jimmy. This is the Indiana beat.
Kansas beat. That's right.
Yeah,
Kansas.
Stripper
man.
poles
Kansas
and Snoop Dogg and shooting fake money at
they're
recruits.
Pretty ballsy,
Hey.
man. I mean, the promo they shot with Bill Self wearing the gold chain, the Adidas shirt.
Amusing, super tacky, but very amusing.
Yeah, well, we'll see how amusing it is when the NCAA gets done with them. Hopefully, I don't see them getting away scot-free here.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, I don't see him getting away scot-free, but do you see him? You see him getting busted? I mean,
Yes, I do. I think the NCAA has no choice. We thought that against North Carolina.
So what's going to come? So what are you expecting out of this? I mean, I got my popcorn out, man. What do you expect though?
I expect that they get no less than a postseason ban like Georgia Tech did.
So what kind of ban are we talking here? I mean, what's Bill Self get? I think the going standard, right? If you look at Kelvin Sampson, texting too much and lying about it was 5 years. So I don't know what paying players and lying about it gets, but yeah, I know what he should get. But the NCAA has done nothing to make me think that I don't know.
Well, they haven't done anything to make any of us think that they're going to, other than they have the FBI this time doing a lot of work for them.
Yeah,
that's the big difference. Is they can't get evidence. They're terrible because they have no subpoena power. Unless what happens is a lot of times these people that are involved in this stuff, they're no longer with the university. So then the university is not required to make them available to investigators. The FBI doesn't matter, different story. But
doesn't it feel like Self kind of thinks he's insulated from this? Using
of course it does.
The boosters.
Why else the hell would he wear an Adidas shirt with the gold chain on it and do that promo? He's sticking it. I mean, look at what they've done. While this was going on, they signed a gigantic multi-year deal with Adidas right in the middle of the FBI investigation. Then you do that big promo wearing the Adidas shirt with a gold chain around it, basically saying, like Chronic said, here's 2 birds for you. Then they bring in Snoop Dogg and some stripper poles, and it's almost like they're thumbing their face at Louisville. And just, we'll see. We'll see how it ends up.
No, it's wild, man. It's wild.
Hey, you broke the story yesterday. Dawson Garcia coming for a visit to Indiana, October 25th through the 27th.
Yeah, man, I've been taking some heat on it, which, that'll happen when...
Nobody cares about heat, baby.
Yeah, I know. It's a visit. Everybody knew he was coming at the end of October. So anyway, but yeah, he's coming 25th to the 27th. And that is huge news if you're an Indiana fan, because if they get him on campus, all bets are off. I mean, in fact, my source yesterday says that, Marquette and Indiana weren't scheduled at the time officially, but that person thought that both of them were the leaders. So, if they can get him on campus, it's all bets are off, Jimmy.
We just talked about Kansas. I think they've taken themselves out of the race.
Yeah, you'd think.
And then North Carolina has signed, I think, not 1 but 2 players similar.
Yeah, they signed Kessler and the other name's slipping my mind right now. But yeah, you would think that both of those teams would be out.
So that takes them out.
Arizona again. They're kind of in.
Yeah, they're
something.
out. They're out. They got stuff going on as well. I think, and plus it's too far away. I think for him.
Yeah. It's a 10-hour drive as it is, from Minneapolis to Bloomington. So,
but Marquette's pretty strong, man. They're not. That's not. Indiana fans don't need to think that they just got they're going to walk over. Although they lost a lot of guys, they had a lot of guys transfer out.
Yeah, who's that? Marquette? You cut out on me there. I apologize.
Yeah, Marquette.
Yeah, Marquette. Yeah, it's a 5-hour drive to Milwaukee from where he's at. So
nobody cares about that.
Nobody cares?
Nobody cares about the drive. We're talking. Marquette had some guys transfer out, but I still think they've got a good recruiting class coming in. Minnesota can't be. I don't think you can count out Minnesota and Richard Pitino. I mean, this kid's from Minnesota, and he's done a pretty decent job recruiting that area too.
Well, they have a lot of pressure because you don't care. It's 22 minutes from where he lives to Minneapolis. So, but anyway, I know you don't care. But anyway, they've Richard Pitino's lost a ton of talent out of the Twin Cities here recently. So, yeah, there's some pressure on Indiana to come through here with Garcia. But man, I think Richard Pitino's he wears that he wears that title. They just lost Ben Carlson to Wisconsin. They lost another kid to Wisconsin. Lost Trey Jones to Duke here a couple years ago. Indiana got Race Thompson.
I talk about all this. You say there's some pressure on Indiana. I talk about this all the time, but talk about why there's pressure on Indiana to land Dawson Garcia.
Well, he's your last you don't have very many pitches left here in 2020 to swing at, and so he's kind of on a tee for you. You have a great relationship with Tom Ostrom. They've been there a ton here recently. They use planes, so they don't have to use that 10-hour drive.
And they need a big man desperately.
They need a big guy desperately.
So he can come in next year and learn under the guys that are going to be seniors and still be here before they leave. So when they're gone, they can step into that role as sophomores.
Yeah, I mean, freshman big guys are all they're freshman guards are tough, but freshman big guys are probably the hardest thing to have to win with because it's a physical, experienced position. Where on the wing you can kind of use more of your natural given abilities. So yeah, that year of experience with Brunk still around, pair him up with Trace Jackson Davis, and you've got as good a front line as certainly the Big Ten would probably have. So yeah, I mean, you've got to get him in this year, otherwise you're dealing with very young bigs, and it's a bad recipe, right?
Absolutely. We don't know if Trace Jackson will still be around or not. If he is, bonus for Indiana, and they could be very strong because they're well positioned. They've got some solid recruits in this season. Anthony Leal and Trey Galloway. Those guys they're solid. They're not superstars though, and Indiana needs some elite talent to go with these solid players, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you got these pieces. And I love Galloway. Just on both sides of the ball. I mean, he really, to me, just really, really stands out. Not that Anthony Leo is going to be a great shooter. He's going to provide that piece for you. But yeah, you're right. You didn't even you brought up Trace Jackson Davis, and I didn't even really consider him into the equation for leaving. But if he would somehow leave, yeah, then that only magnifies the importance of somebody like Dawson Garcia. But Zach Lovedays, he's committed to Baylor, so he's off the board.
Yeah, this is it. There's no secret. This is it.
That's it.
And I've been pounding this drum for a while because it's a very good chance that Trace Jackson Davis could be gone because he'll be a junior then.
Yeah, 2 years. I would look for him to be back next year as a sophomore. But,
absolutely.
All bets are off the table after that.
And that's why the important. Absolutely, it's why. I mean, he might be back for a third year. He might not. But the thing is, you can't count on it. And if for some reason he's gone, that only leaves Race Thompson if you don't sign somebody in this class that's not a freshman.
Yeah. No, it's. And I would have liked for them to have went after Kyron Powell. I thought you could just see his trajectory kind of shooting up. But it's water under the bridge, and that passed. But he would have been a great guy to stash and Watt. And you could still have went after Garcia. But like you said, now all the chips are in. No secrets. Nobody's holding any punches here, and. So we'll see here in a couple weeks, 16 days or whatever we have.
Yeah, but that's just the visit. I mean, there's going to be there's been no timeline given on a decision that he's going to be making anytime soon.
No. My source, they said they seem to think that it's going to be a fall decision now, and that wasn't always the case. So, I don't know. I would look maybe for an early decision here, and that seems to be the thinking, at least to the person that I spoke to yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, because if it doesn't happen, this would be potentially the third consecutive season a scholarship's been carried over.
Yeah, and I mean
that's highly unusual. Highly unusual.
Yeah, I think so as well. A lot of people will say that's by design, but I don't think that you ever.
No, it's not. We both know that's not true.
Ever want to leave scholarship? I mean, people have a hard enough time when they go on probation and they get a scholarship taken away and they're mad. So I don't really understand. So yeah, I'm with you. But you hear these arguments as well. So
I mean, Tim texted in, asked any reason they only scrimmaged for 8 minutes instead of 2 8-minute sessions like it was scheduled at Hoosier Hysteria. Wanted to see more. My opinion is because they were down 3 guys because of injuries, and they don't have the bodies to put out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get banged up early in the season like this. I'm not saying that it's like, major injuries, but yeah, they were obviously, hurting enough to hold them out or, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the reason why they didn't scrimmage more. I was disappointed too. I was, like everybody, had driven a pretty good ways and was excited to kind of get but that's the nature of those events. And, anymore, you just can't really expect any more than that.
Hey, brother, you're welcome to stay through to the next segment if you want, but we got to take a break.
Hey, I'm all for it, man.
All right, if you're staying with us, we appreciate you. If not, thanks a lot to Chronic Hoosier, of course, Nick Baumgart. Did we hear from Jerome Hunter? We heard from Jerome Hunter as well. But otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to try to get a special guest for you. I'll let you know more about that once we find it out for sure to be on social media. But until then, I will see you on the radio.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player. This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Tuesday, October 8th. Coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hour 2's yet to begin. Nick Baumgart's still with us from Indiana Rivals, the Hoosier.com. Say hello, Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Had Chronic
Hello,
Hoosier on
Indiana.
earlier. Got to talk with Chronic. Always enjoy that. Indiana back in action on the gridiron this Saturday, a noon contest with Rutgers. It's homecoming. Indiana's like a 25-point favorite. Well, the highest favorites they've been.
When's the last time they were a 25-point favorite in the conference?
That may not have ever have happened ever.
Yeah, right.
Not only that, I talked about this in the last hour. Indiana has an opportunity to win 4 straight games in the Big Ten. These next 4 games, they're all winnable, even though 2 of them are on the road. You got Rutgers this week, of course, which is a pushover. You could win with me at quarterback. You've got to go to Maryland. Maryland looked really strong at the beginning of the year. I thought, oh, man, Indiana's going to have to worry about them, too. No, they seem like a fraud since then. They've been destroyed. So I think Indiana goes there and takes care of business.
At what point do we kick Rutgers out?
Man, they're never going to kick them out just because they're in New York.
Can't we find anybody in New York?
That's the sole reason Rutgers is in the Big Ten. The New York TV market. That is it. That's why Maryland is in, because of the Washington, D.C. TV market.
I get it. I don't know how.
After Maryland, Indiana has to go on the road to Nebraska, to Lincoln. I think they can win there.
You've been to New York City. They got lots of stuff going on. Have you ever seen a Rutgers game?
And then they come home and take on Northwestern.
They're drawing
another game I think that they should win. That would be 4 straight. They haven't done that since 1993. They won 4 straight under Bill Mallory. But they haven't won 6 conference games since 1987, the same year they beat Ohio State and Michigan. That's not going to happen this year. But what about beating Michigan and Nebraska, Nick?
Well, that would be a stretch. I mean, you're talking about back to the glory days of athletics.
Because I can't hear a thing he's saying if he is.
Could happen.
There you go. Now I can hear you.
Okay, I must have cut out.
Yeah, you must have cut out.
Yeah, no, I mean that would be incredible. Gosh, I think I was 7 years old when that happened in '87. So I don't have much recollection of good IU football.
The weekend that Dawson Garcia makes his visit to Indiana, Christian Lander is going to be at Michigan.
Yeah, that's right.
Who do you think? This is just opinion. I think that Louisville, Indiana are probably the top 2 right now, if I had to pick a guess.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Michigan, with Quaddy Washington, there's a relationship there. I think the Landers, I think they really like Quaddy, and he's a holdover from the Beeline.
Well, and Michigan was Christian's childhood team.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that, that's got to have some kind of bearing, right?
Well, if your childhood team was, and he wasn't around for the Fab Five, I don't believe anyway, but you still know about them historically, and then when you have one of those guys coaching, that means a lot to some kids.
No, I mean, they were about a decade in front of him. The Fab Five, but yeah, I mean, for sure. That was that group transcended college basketball. It's kind of funny that the pants have now went back the other way.
Pants? Who's wearing pants?
The shorts. Shorts, the Fab Five had the long shorts, and now, everything's.
I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Pants? Well, this is a Letterman episode.
It's got to have some kind of bearing. And then, like I said, the relationship with Coach Washington is a real one. And, that's going to play into it. But yeah, I mean, I think Louisville definitely,
here's the thing about
the
thing about Louisville. To me, there is no way they escape the long arm of the law with the NCAA. I think they get hammered more than anybody that we're talking about. We were talking about Kansas in the last hour. Georgia Tech just got it. I don't think anybody gets it like Louisville's going to get it. They were on probation for major violations when they committed major violations under this FBI thing. They're going to get hammered. And yet Chris Mack is killing it recruiting-wise. They've currently got a top 10, preseason top 10 team. It's amazing what he's done over there.
I don't know. Like as Keith Landers said all along, he's maintained that, they'll evaluate that when the time comes. So I guess, really we still have about a year and a half, not a year, closer to a year and a half still before, for any of this stuff to shake out. So
I mean, sometimes it seems like it doesn't matter
to watch these dominoes fall.
I mean, you look at, Watford. What was Watford's? I can't think of his first name. Christian Watford's brother. Trendon Watford. You look at him. He goes to LSU knowing that there's probably something coming to them.
Yeah, and I think his thought, he's going to be long gone before they get hit with anything. So
yeah, they don't care. It's like they don't care.
Right.
They want to get to the league, and the best possible path they think that gets them there. That's what they're going to take.
Yep.
And
that's still where we're at until we see anything of substance that happens here. I think guys will continue. And I think, if something were to happen, if you were to commit somewhere and then something happened, you could always probably get out of that.
Well, I think Indiana can land Lander, but they have to win this year.
They have to take a step forward, and I talked last week at Media Day, I talked to Jeff Goodman. And he's really down on Indiana. Not down on them, but I mean he said they're 11th place team, so I don't know how up he is on them.
That's pretty bad because there's only a couple teams behind you, and Rutgers is one of them.
And his thing was Archie Miller's got to turn an 11th place team into a 7th place team. So I don't know. We went back and forth on this, but I think those projections are a little low. I know Doc he seems to agree with me. He said, there's no chance Indiana finished 10th or worse.
I don't see that either, not with the talent on this roster. I mean, if that happens, there are some serious problems in Bloomington.
Yeah.
Let me just say that.
Sure.
If that happens, there are some obvious glowing problems, and we'll deal with that if that happens. But I don't see that happening either. Now, I don't know that this is a team that to me should make the tournament. They have enough talent to make the stinking tournament. But
and I mean, it's certainly when you compare them to like Michigan, who's gotten a lot of love with a first-year head coach, and I know they were great last year, but and you've got 3 really good players coming back. But like I talked to a Michigan beat writer last week at Media Day, and his 2 comments were to me. One was, we still don't know if we got the right guy, if we hired the right guy, and we don't know what our bench is going to look like.
Are you talking about Indiana or Michigan?
I'm talking about Michigan. Yeah,
because I think that could be said about both.
Yeah, well, but certainly I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, in October. But when I look at the 2 rosters, to me Michigan looks top heavy. But and Beeline had the second best defense last year. Replicating that is going to be hard, ever, let alone in your first year coaching anything.
But when you don't have offense, you have to be good at something. And they had no offense last year, very little. So they have to hang. That's to me. I think that not having an offense forced them to hang their hat on something, and that was defense.
You don't have to be quite as good if you're good offensively. If you can simply shoot the ball with some regularity, that takes a little pressure off of you defensively. It allows you to have some trips where you don't get the stops you need, as long as you're coming back and getting a bucket. But that's not been the case for Indiana. They haven't been getting those buckets. They haven't been getting those key buckets. So to me, that's the difference that has to happen.
It's an interesting stat or question, but who shot better from 3-point range, Indiana or Duke last year?
You know what? I don't know, but if I had to guess, I would say Indiana maybe, but because I know Duke was a terrible 3-point team.
Indiana, right? But Indiana was actually a better 3-point shooting team than Duke.
But Duke also sucked at shooting the three, but they made up for it in other areas.
Offensive rebounding, they were 14th in the country, so they were over 7%. They were 7% higher than Indiana. So yeah, no, I mean that's. But what I'm getting at is it's such a fine line between winning and losing, and how and people like to make a big deal about the shooting, like, oh, they can't shoot, the 11th. Well, I mean, Duke was pretty good last year, and they were worse shooting from the perimeter. So, I'm just saying that there's ways that this Indiana team could turn it around, and I think somebody like Trace Jackson-Davis, Joey Brunk are going to help. Deron Davis playing more than 13 minutes a game, that's going to help.
I agree wholeheartedly. They don't have to be the best 3-point shooting team in the country. Mm-hmm. Don't shoot as many is the thing. For one thing, stop shooting when you're shooting 20%. Stop. Do something that you do.
This is something I'm looking into. But somewhere along the line, there was a philosophical shift. I grew up we grew up in a time when there were good shots and bad bad shooters didn't shoot shots. But even you look at Coach K last year. Trey Jones and Jack White took 200 threes between themselves at 27%.
But that's because they're getting the offensive rebound at a higher rate than everybody else is, so they can afford that.
Yeah, and I get that, but I'm just saying, if you look at Pat Chambers, if you look at Maryland, all these teams, they all have given a high volume of attempts to guys who, quite frankly, aren't that good as shooters. So anyway, yeah, no, you're right. The offensive rebounding, and it's kind of a philosophical tug of war for Archie, because either the thinking is either you go to the offensive boards and rebound, crash the boards, you're going to give up maybe something in defensive transition, you might get burned once or twice or whatever, or you get back, and so Indiana, Archie's, his philosophy is to get back in defensive transition. They were a top 20 defensive transition team last year. It was one of the reasons their defense was as good as it was. So, it's kind of a balancing act, about offensive rebounding and defensive transition.
Yeah, and this year they talk about having a lot of ball movement, that is not something we saw a lot last year, which means a lot of more motion offense, some screens, a lot more screening, shots off of screens maybe. We didn't see much of that last year either. So obviously,
they're a lot better catch and shoot, a lot better. I mean, the numbers, show that if they can get those catch and shoot opportunities, Rob Finney's twice as good a shooter off the catch than he is off the bounce. So, there's certainly ways in which they can cut that.
But it's hard to be setting screens for your point guard to get a shot off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. But when you pass and cut like that, you don't need a point guard to facilitate. You just need guys who can read screens. I mean, that's what's great about motion, is because if you're guarding me and I go off a screen, there's one of two ways you can go. You can go up the ball side, or you can come man side. And all you have to do is go the opposite way as a cutter. That's what made the Bobby Knight motion offense team so great. That's what Damon Bailey was so good at.
Well, and another thing though is they practice that stuff ad nauseum. They had it down.
It was made permanent, not perfect, but permanent. They did it over and over. Todd Leary talks about this all the time. They practiced that stuff. I mean, they were just surgical. But they're also great shooters, all of them. I mean, look back into Todd Leary's days. Hell, they were all 40% 3-point shooters. I mean, he had like 5 or 6 guys on the roster that was shooting 40% or better.
Yeah, I mean, it's and I discussed this a little bit on Twitter, but I mean, I think it's a little bit of fundamentals. If you look at Justin Smith's shot, I looked at this the other day on Twitter, but I think he falls back a little bit. Is there, do I think Justin Smith can turn it around? Yeah, I mean, I do. He's such a good athlete. You're talking about one of the top percentage athletes in the world. You can't be a good shooter. Get real. So,
but do you need him? But does this team need Justin Smith shooting 3-pointers? Let me ask you that.
Well, I don't know. This is something I asked Archie Miller actually at Media Day. I said, does Justin Smith have the green light? And his response, as you were sitting next to me and you heard it, he said, something about he needed that each player would earn the shots that they got or something. And
basically, they all have the green light, but they have to earn that.
That Justin Smith has to keep the defense honest. So, I don't know. I guess there's some truth to that. He's a guy that's going to be really good, like when the ball goes into the post to Joey Brunk or to Davis, diving, cutting to the basket.
To me, Justin Smith should be dominating the boards. He should be this team's leading rebounder by far. He's 6'8" with a 48-inch vertical leap. He should be destroying people underneath.
Yeah.
Why is
that's
that
one of the arguments against him?
Why am I alone in thinking that?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one of the arguments against him shooting threes too, is because now you're taking a 20-something percent 3-point shooter, who's your best offensive rebounder, away from the basket. So, yeah, I've said that he's got to be able to hit at the 3-point shot at such a high level, because he's so good from in close, and he's got such value to you on the board. So, yeah, no, I completely agree. But I think the only person that really matters is Archie Miller, and I think he's fine with it.
Well, right, but we have to see how that's going to work out. I mean, to me,
right,
this is a team without a superstar, without a known. Green is the only known quote unquote shooter, but without being a team of shooters. It sounds like they need to pull a page out of Duke's book and lead people in offensive rebounds. Do those little things that win games for teams like that also don't shoot well from outside. But you can't not do well at both of them. You can't not shoot the ball well and not get a lot of offensive rebounds, because all you're doing basically is turning the ball over.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I'm with you completely. There was only like one at-large team last year that shot the ball worse from 3, and that was VCU. So, it's the most important shot in 3-point basketball. But again, it's a philosophical thing. It's a numbers thing. If you're only going to send, 2 guys to the boards and the other team has 5, then, your odds of getting an offensive rebound are less. If you're sending 3 or 4, so, I don't know. It's there's more to it. And I just bring that up just because there's more to it than just effort sometimes. And I'm not saying this is not about Justin Smith, because a lot of it with Justin, to me, is effort. Because like you said, he's 6'8" with a 240, with a 48-inch vertical. And, he's built for the boards. But anyway, sometimes, it's more of a coaching philosophical at hand on that.
Well, it's like if Zion Williamson, he's only 6'7", but I guarantee you, if he's battling up somebody for a rebound, he's probably going to get it, because he's like an athletic Charles Barkley.
Yeah, no, and I mean, he's a great athlete, but Justin Smith, I don't know, would seem to be just as good an athlete
or better.
Zion just goes hard.
Yes,
no, I'm with you.
Effort. It's all about effort. Ryan from Whitmore Lake, Michigan texted in that Coach Knight teams were amazing at getting to the free throw line and did not necessarily have to hit the threes always because they made free throws. 3-pointers are key, but you have to be at 80% free throw percentage to make deep runs. True, this team has not been a good free throw shooting team in the last couple of years. Another thing I just simply don't understand. Free throw shooting is nothing but mechanics and mental focus.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they were 65.5% last year.
How is that even close to being acceptable for a team like Indiana? You can't be shooting 65 freaking percent.
And well, since we're on Justin Smith, and like I said, I don't want to be dogging it because I love his skill set. Like when I watch him, you just go, God, this guy is so good. He could be so good, but he went back. You thought he was a 67% shooter as a freshman. You thought, oh man, this kid. He's going to be a high 70s, free throw shooter, and then he went back to 51% last year, and he got a lot of attempts. So, you need your high attempt guys, you guys that are inside banging, your Deron Davises and Joey Brunks, and your Justin Smith to be able to Trace Jackson Davis. We don't really know yet exactly what kind of free throw shooter he's going to be. So you need those guys who are getting those high volume attempts, to be good. Like Ryan pointed out, they haven't been very good.
Yeah, but and like I was talking about the free throw, why do you think this team all of a sudden was such a bad free throw shooting team? I don't want to blame Archie Miller, a coach, for free throw shooting, but they become a really bad free throw shooting team.
Yeah, no, it's weird. They haven't shot well for a while. Sorry here. Hold on. Hang on, Jim. We got
a circus. Got a circus act going on with Nick Baumgart.
Going on here.
Got the
So, but anyway, I can't even remember now. My thought was all.
Thank gosh we can move on to something different. Well, we're talking about free throw shooting. Why Indiana all of a sudden is such a poor free throw shooting team these last couple of years?
Oh yeah, well, free throw shooting to me is just it's just repetition. I mean, that's just doing it over and over and over. So I don't know.
It's more than that. It's just mental focus, and mechanics. And of course they shoot free throws over and over in practice, but they get into the games and they're not hitting them.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard. I don't know. I can't explain it.
I promise you, I can go to the free throw line right now and shoot 70%. Now,
well, I'm with you.
Is it in a game situation?
I was an 80% free throw shooter when I was a player. So I guess, and it's almost kind of like an Archie Miller question. Somebody asked him at Harrison, what was going on with the shooting, and he said, "Well, I don't know. I was never that bad of a shooter, so I could never tell you." Right? I mean, you remember that? You remember his comment there? I don't know. Free throw shooting to me is not that hard. I mean, it's just like you said, repetition over and over and over, and I don't really see how it should trip him up so bad.
Well, that's one of the things that Archie talked about. He talked about that Al Durham shot at 92% in the preseason, so hopefully that carries forward. I think it's been a mental thing. I think it's been a lack of mental focus. I really do. I mean, these guys are just not totally locked in, and I think that maybe it's taken
something
this long to get them there.
To that.
But I think that maybe they have gotten to that level now, and hopefully we will see a much, much better free throw shooting team from them this year.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you'll see guys at the line talking about, I got so-and-so, and then they shoot. It's like, so sometimes it goes back even to their routine, you see that from time. Juwan Morgan would do that a lot, he just wouldn't be locked in on the goal. So yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I see things, when I watch stuff, but I mean, being this far away, I can't really tell you. I don't know. I don't see him in practice, and
Well, I certainly think this team has the talent to get something done this year. I think they definitely have the talent to get into the tournament and finish better than 10th or 11th, where most people have picked them. And we'll see if they can get that done or not. But I think that's going to be left upon them. That's going to be their decision on how much effort they put in to making that come to be and doing the right things and not making mistakes. That's the key
Where do you
to
have
any
them at?
athletic contest.
Where do you have them picked?
8th.
Yeah, I'm like 6th or 7th. I mean, I think they should be in too. I'm right there with you. I believe in them every bit as much as I believe in like a Penn State or even a Michigan. In fact, I've tossed around the idea of calling the Maryland at Maryland. January 4th, I think they go to Maryland and play. I think this team will be able to compete with anybody. Will they be able to pull it out? We'll find out. But I'm excited about this year. I am.
We'll find out, man. Nick Baumgart, we appreciate you sticking with us through this extra little bonus session.
Hey, I appreciate you sticking with me.
Well, that's what people do, right?
Yeah, that's what friends are for. Cue the music.
All right, brother. Right. That's right. Cue the out music.
Thanks, guys.
You betcha. Hey, that's going to wrap up that session. Oh, God. Now we've got singing. Oh, God. Please cue the music quickly. Jake's slow. Jerry's slow. Jake's slow on the music. I can't hear it. One of the two. I don't know.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player. This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
of course, coming to you from the Golf Club and Eagle Point Studios here on this Monday, October 7th, and we can't think of a better way to start the week off than with the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher. Don, how are you, sir?
I'm well, Jim. How are you?
Good, good. Can't complain. A weekend off from IU football. Kind of missed it. It didn't take long to start missing it, but had some basketball in between to tie us over. Hoosier Hysteria took place, so a little bit of taste of Indiana basketball, and a great audience turned out for that.
Yeah, it was a nice crowd that was on hand. A lot of kids, a lot of parents, and obviously some students. But I think more of the general public was there than there was student body that was there. Interesting from my standpoint, because usually the student body shows up in mass. I don't know if we saw that. There may have been a lot more students than I anticipated, but I just didn't see it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great chance for a lot of people who don't get the opportunity a lot of times to get out to Assembly Hall, that don't have season tickets or whatnot, to bring their kids out. And saw tons of that. A lot of autographs going on afterwards. A great fan interaction. So a great opportunity for fans that probably, like I said, don't get a great opportunity to see the Hoosiers.
Yeah, and obviously, you didn't get to see everybody because you had 3 players that didn't participate because of minor injuries and that kind of thing. So all we know is at this juncture is this is a basketball team that showcased Jerome Hunter for the first time outside of Hoosier Hysteria a year ago. And this kid I think he's going to be special if he can stay healthy. He's one of those guys that, to me, has the it factor, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely.
I just like what I see out of this guy. He wants to score the basketball. I think he's very capable of doing it. I thought we saw an Al Durham that had, again, looked like a guy that could really knock down threes and maybe can do it under tough situations. I liked Al's performance in the three-point shooting contest. He was a winner in that regard. Was it with Ali Patberg, I think? No, it was Penn.
Jalen Penn?
Yeah, Jalen Penn. He and Jalen Penn were the winners of the three-point shootout. There's obviously, I think, Trace Jackson Davis, a true freshman, is going to be special. Very talented kid. I think he's one of those guys that's just going to get better and better as the season progresses. I like Armand Franklin a lot. I think he's a true freshman that is going to be, one of those 3 or 4 year players that really can help your team. He's kind of a glue guy. And I also think he's very talented, too. I think there's a lot about this team that is to like. The question mark is, can they get everybody healthy? And Deron Davis sat out the scrimmage, as did Devontae Green, who suffered an injury, I guess, during the week last week in practice. I don't know how long he'll be out. But, again, none of these injuries look to be long-term. Hopefully everybody gets back and is practicing sometime this week.
Yeah, it's just an opportunity just to get a first look for a lot of the fans, and it was great to see Jerome Hunter on the floor, like you said. I remember watching him in high school at Southport over there for a tournament, and just he's a very talented kid, and you hate to see anybody have to sit out because of injury, and to sit out an entire year, he is just chomping at the bit to get back out there, and you see why. He's such a talented kid, and he brings a lot to Archie Miller's team, too, and Archie'd like to see him out there desperately.
Absolutely, no question about that. Deron Davis didn't play in this game either, in the scrimmage on Saturday. He's been held out because of a lower leg injury. It's minor, I guess, based on what everybody tells me. All I know is at this juncture, they've got to get guys healthy because this is kind of how we started last year, if you remember. And injuries always play a big role, especially if you sit out the very important practice sessions at the beginning of fall practice. A basketball team at this juncture is working on fundamentals and really important things about getting the offense and the defense set up the way you want them to. I do think that this team has a lot of versatility to it, a big front line or bigger front line than Indiana's had over recent years. I think that'll help. I don't think there's any doubt that Joey Brunk, a transfer from Butler, will help this team. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's going to be a superstar. I think he's a glue guy. I think he's one of those guys that brings some leadership. He's experienced the big-time college basketball atmosphere, so he's already used to those kinds of things, and I think he really wanted to be at Indiana. I think that's the big story there, and I'm looking forward to seeing him participate and see what kind of help he can give this basketball program. I think Archie believes this team's got a chance to be good, a chance to be really good, and better than people anticipate good. So hopefully all those things come to fruition. But again, we're just getting started.
Yep, if they can hit shots, they'll be pretty good because they do, like you said, they have a pretty good front line there with all those guys. But we'll look forward to basketball getting started. And before we get to Indiana football, how about that win by the Colts last night over Kansas City? That was huge.
Well, it was, especially after the disappointment last week of the Oakland Raiders knocking them off. But then Oakland wins this past weekend as well again. So Oakland may be better than people think. But the story last night was a tremendous performance by the Colts. The defense played much, much better this week than they did a week ago. And the offense, Jacoby Brissett, I thought, did a really nice job in this ball game, made some big plays. And the Colts just did what they needed to do. And the defense, like I said, I thought the defense played terrific because they put pressure on Patrick Mahomes all night long. And, of course, he was dinged up a little bit. They've got their injury issues as well. And the Colts didn't play with Darius Leonard. He was on the bench again with that concussion protocol that he's dealing with. So it was a fun game to watch, though. It was really good, and I love the way the Colts hung on to win it.
Yeah, the defense, man. When you shut down a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who's possibly the hottest quarterback in the NFL right now, you're getting something done. And just a remarkable comeback from, like you said, the week before. A huge disappointing loss. But then Oakland's looking good. Life's looking good for the Gruden family, except for old brother who just got fired from Washington. So NFL's a strange place to live.
Yeah, well, if you're a coach in the NFL, you've been hired to be fired.
Exactly.
There aren't very many guys that survive. Yeah, there aren't many guys that survive in that league very long. The ones who do are the great ones, of course, and everybody else just seems to kind of come and go and, of course, gets rehired someplace else to try again. That's the good news for the coaches there.
Yep, there's always a job waiting for you. Well, speaking of football, we're back to football action for the Hoosiers this week as they're back in action at noon on Saturday hosting Rutgers. A nice break for them to get healed up, basically, get everybody back together, and a perfect time. I mean, they didn't get to win up in East Lansing, but a great performance, and you can see there are great things coming for this team and this offense.
Well, Michael Penix was just sensational 2 weeks ago against Michigan State, or a week and a half ago against Michigan State. I mean, to sit out 2 weeks and practice limited time and the week leading up to that ball game, it was a pretty impressive performance to say the least. And he was lights out, a gunslinger in that ball game. Did exactly the kinds of things that you knew he's capable of doing. Really got the team rolling offensively. The offensive line, which obviously is missing Coy Cronk now for the rest of the season, I thought got a step up. Not a step up from Coy, but at least got a solid performance from a true freshman by the name of Matthew Bedford at that left tackle position. I think he played virtually every snap at the left tackle spot in that ball game. I think they were worried that he probably would wear down in that contest, but he played the entire game. And I guess held up fairly well in the contest against a very, very good Michigan State defensive group. So that was a plus. They didn't run the ball all that effectively, but with Penix's arm, sometimes you don't really need to do that. And I thought Kalen DeBoer's offensive game plan was absolutely sensational. I think this guy is really special as the offensive coordinator in this football program, and I'm really excited that Indiana's got him. That said, the defense, again, did not play up to my expectations. I have all season long thought that this defense had a chance to really be one of the special defenses that Tom Allen has had, and they continue to give up big plays at the end of halves and at the end of ball games that get you beat. And that's been an ongoing problem, not just for just this staff and this team, but for teams at Indiana since Bill Mallory was fired back in 1996. I mean, this has been an ongoing issue, to finish games against quality opponents and to be able to pull out a victory. And this team didn't do it again against Michigan State. That's the disappointment from that outcome. And until that changes, until they do beat somebody, there's always going to be that feeling that this is the same old Indiana. And I don't like to say that. I don't like to think about it. But that's the impression that is given by your performance. And honestly, I don't know how to get over that hump, so to speak. At least at this point, it looks like this Indiana football team has got a chance to do that talent-wise. but the defense hasn't played up to their potential, in my opinion, at this point, and that's what's disappointing to this point in the season.
Yeah, you put 31 points on Michigan State in East Lansing. You're normally going to expect to win that game. The offense, you can't ask a lot more of an offense, especially an offensive line that had, like you said, freshman Matthew Bedford, who was outstanding, coming off the sideline, limited play in his career, and steps into a place like East Lansing and plays the entire game. It was remarkable. But defensively, they've got to make these plays. And you talked about that, the deal with not finishing. It's almost a cultural thing for the program, and you don't want to think that, but they've got to get that mindset to where they are capable of winning every game no matter what.
Absolutely. And I do want to say I thought there was a real bright spot on the defensive side of the football in that contest, and it was Tywan Mullen, another true freshman who came into this ball game and just absolutely, when he was on Darryl Stewart couldn't do anything. Unfortunately, he wasn't on Darryl Stewart the entire ball game, especially in those tight situations down at the end. They were able to isolate Stewart away from Tywan Mullen, but I think that kid played tremendous. I mean, that was one of the best freshman performances I've ever seen by a cornerback, if you understand what I'm saying here. This guy did a phenomenal job of covering one of the best receivers, not only in the Big Ten, but he's one of the best receivers in the country. I just thought he was spectacular and probably may have won himself a starting role for this ball club.
Yeah, Tywan is someone that they knew was special, but I don't think any of us had an understanding of how special. When you're a freshman, true freshman, and you come into the Big Ten and to make an appearance like he has, it's pretty mind-boggling. But I remember talking to him way before the season opened up, and one of the great quotes that I got from him was that I didn't drive, come 16 hours away for nothing to not do something special here. And he means it. He's just such an easygoing kid when you talk to him, very humble, but my gosh, what a performer he is and is going to be. This kid's going to be spectacular defensively for Indiana.
Well, if he plays like that, he won't be around for 4 years because that was his performance in that game was mind-boggling in my mind just because of what he was able to do against a veteran receiver like that who was much bigger than he was and just handle it. I mean, he just handled it. Hopefully that wasn't an anomaly because I do think this kid's really good, and they've talked about him. The coaching staff has talked about him for some time. That was really the first chance we've seen, had a chance to see him perform to the level of which they've been talking about, and he certainly did. He came through in that vein, and I think that spells good things for the rest of the defensive backfield.
Absolutely. You're back in the booth this week on Saturday at noon for the game. I'm sure you're ready to get back to it.
Absolutely. Rutgers, it's homecoming week, of course, and Rutgers is the opponent, a ball club that's really struggling right now. They're 1-4, fired their coach a week and a half ago. They're playing with a head coach that's now on the interim basis, their tight ends coach, who was only been in the college profession for 2 years. He was a very successful high school football coach back in New Jersey. But they're a team right now that's in trouble because they've got their starting quarterback. They replaced him with another kid named Johnny Langdon, and their starting quarterback is one of those guys that is upset about that, so he is contemplating the transfer portal, as is Rasheem Blackshear, who's one of their best running backs. He's already decided that he's in the NCAA transfer portal. So they've got guys leaving. They've got all kinds of problems there. Indiana should have, I would think, little or no trouble with Rutgers on Saturday.
It certainly should be a fun time. Hope the weather is great. Look forward to having Don Fisher and Buck Seward back up in the booth calling the games for us.
Yep, we'll look forward to it. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Have a great day. We'll be talking to you again next week. Don Fisher, the voice of the Hoosiers. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Not to something that has never showed him anything.
Hello, everybody. everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player. This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Yo, welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Tuesday, October 8th. Been a great show. Chronic Hoosier was with us. Nick Baumgart doubled up, double segment. Heard from Jerome Hunter. Tell you who we haven't heard from. Haven't heard from Tywone Mullen, freshman sensation. Doing an unbelievable job. You heard Don Fisher talk about him. What an unbelievable job this kid is doing, man. He's got great lineage, let me tell you. His brother played for Clemson. His cousin, I don't know if you ever heard, you may not have heard of him, some dude named Lamar Jackson. Heisman Trophy winner, quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens at the moment. That's who Tywone Mullen grew up getting beat down by. So, yeah, he knows a thing or two about competition. And when you talk to him, it's so funny because he's so matter of fact, and he absolutely is not being cocky. He's just totally confident. He's like, it's just football. He said, man, Saturdays are easy. He goes, the works, he talks about you put the work in Monday through Friday. He's a professional already. He already speaks like a professional. He takes it professionally. This dude's going to play professionally, I would fathom a guess. Let's hear from Tywone.
The technique for this week, yeah, it worked when Coach Shepard told me to do it.
I mean, how much confidence does that give you after a game like that?
I mean, I had confidence coming into college. You know, it was just another game I was playing. You know, each game, like, it's just football, you know.
I mean, how do you get that confidence?
You know, I have older brothers, so, you know, going against those guys growing up and just playing football and just going out what I love to do, you know. The game is Monday through Friday, you know. Saturday is just fun day for me, so just go out there and execute what Coach Kane, Coach Allen, Coach Chevy, and I just go out there and execute whatever position they put me in.
Taiwan Mullen there talking about, yeah, he got older brothers, all right. He's got some relatives that just beat him down, but look, that's because that's why he's so great. I mean, he plays with complete supreme confidence because he's played against the best. This is almost a step down. This kid is going to be good. Another one that's not going to be good already is good as well. Freshman Michael Penix, the quarterback. Look at what he did at Michigan State. He's barely played in college. Barely. Never played on the road in the Big Ten. Goes up to an environment like that, 70,000 people, played like a veteran. Ran that offense like a veteran. Kalen DeBoer gets as much credit as well. Great game plan, and I think he helps keep them. They feel as confident as can be because they feel like they're in the right position. Let's hear what Michael Penix had to say.
Great, you know, it's just, I mean, we had a week off, but, you know, every day we're still preparing mentally, you know, always staying focused, make sure we don't get off our game and make sure that we just always prepared.
Coach just talked about how the buys fell for you guys. You had a nice chunk and then a bye week, then another nice chunk for the bye week. As a quarterback who's constantly thinking about game planning, installation, just different wrinkles, how helpful is basically the way the season breaks up in terms of maybe being able to install some things, work through it for a few games, and then get that bye week to step back and refine stuff?
Right. It feels great. You know, it's just a lot of time to mentally just relax, you know, prepare yourself, like mentally prepare, but at the same time, you know, you don't have a game that week, but you still got to be focused on either you watching the game or the team that you playing in the following week, and that's what I did. You know, just staying mentally prepared, make sure I was on top of everything, and just pushing, getting ready for this week.
I know you don't think about obviously stats during the game, but at some point did you guys kind of realize that the ball hadn't hit the ground a long time at Michigan State when you completed 20 in a row?
Nah, like we didn't realize it didn't hit the ground, but we realized like we were moving the ball and everything. Like a lot was going good. You know, it could have been better, but it was definitely going good for us. And I feel like that's not what we was like paying attention to. We just wanted to execute our plays and execute everything that Coach DeBoer put in.
How do you describe your relationship?
That was Michael Penix, quarterback for the Indiana Hoosiers, redshirt freshman. One of his targets, junior wide receiver Wap Fillier, he's one of the characters on this team. It's always fun and an adventure talking to Wap. Never know what he's going to say, but let's hear what Wap had to say as well.
Are you now at the point where you're telling other people, hey, this is the way you're supposed to approach this? And you know, do you remember anybody trying to tell you that when you were
like when I was a freshman, Cindy would tell me, but now I'm telling guys like Ty, Mike, even Nick. He older than me, but I tell him like, bro, you in the tree with like it's good for us. Like we gonna need that like in the long run. It's gonna help us in the long run.
Even one of the focal points of the offense this season, how gratifying is it to see maybe the work that you put in the offseason kind of pay off?
I mean, it's good, but at the same time, we doing what we said we're going to do during the season, like throw for a lot of yards, play the good teams good, even beat the good teams. So we're just doing what we said we're going to do in the offseason.
20 completions in a row when the pass game is clicking like that. How much fun is it?
It's fun, and you know it's going to open up the run game for my boy Steve. You know. He gonna, you know, he not having the season that he want right now, but we keep throwing the ball like that, he's gonna start breaking out.
What was the biggest thing you kind of worked
on? Super Wap Fillier. Football team, not much of a test this week. They're a 20-something point favorite over Rutgers, which is fine. They should beat them down. They need to cover that spread and then some. Start performing like a team like that, and I think that they will. I think that there is still a lot of great things to see from this team this year. They've got to get the defense improved. Kane Womack, the pressure is on him to get that side of the ball pulling their weight. They're doing good things in certain areas. This offense can be prolific. I talked about this in the preseason extensively. I really was high on this offense, and I still am for obvious reasons after what we saw at Michigan State with a healthy Michael Penix. they can go nuts. They got to stop guys, though. You got to stop guys. Hopefully they can get that direction, headed in that direction very quickly, and this is a way to get there this week. That's going to pretty much wrap it up, man. Another great show. Chronic Hoosier was with us. Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals. You got to hear from Jerome Hunter, Tywon Mullen, Michael Penix, and Super Wop Failure. You even got to hear a little bit from Jake. Dawson Garcia coming for a visit October 25th. We'll keep you updated on all that and more. Back tomorrow with more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.
Slow